Right, we are here for a chat with Jay from SPQR Media. We're just going to have a little laid-back conversation about how we got into crypto and then move on to some other crazy shit because it's how our brains work. So, Jay, if you want to start off, just tell us, mate, how did you get into crypto first and how did you find us on YouTube?
To start with, it was a lot of kind of, I don't like using the term conspiracy, but it was people like Jeff Berwick, you know, the Dollar Vigilante and people like that. So the kind of anarchist type of YouTube channels that are talking about Bitcoin. So got into Bitcoin, started to kind of understand how that worked. I didn't buy in. It was about 2016. So I spoke to a couple of people and they're like, look, it's for the black market, it's drug money, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's risky. So I basically just kept an eye on it and I saw 2017 play out. Like literally I watched probably every week I was looking at the price and I'm like, fuck, I've missed it. And it was like 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. Obviously went to the peak and I'm like, shit. On its way down, that's where me and Lee started talking about, you know, it was Bitcoin and Ethereum to start with. Then I got a call from, I was doing medical recruitment at the time. So I got a call from a doctor and he's like, one of my mates has just made 60 grand off XRP. So I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I've started to look into that and I saw it on its way down. So I first invested at about $1, I'd say. And I thought, it's not going any lower than that. You know, it's sort of come down and we're ready to go again. So me and Lee are talking about it, started sort of dabbling. And I think it's about a couple of months later, I saw you guys. It must have been about that time, right? It was like July, I think, of the next year.
Yeah.
So we saw the video and we're like, fuck, you know, there's more to this. It's not just a profit. It's something big is going to come out of this. And that's kind of where we started talking and started doing our recording. So it was around, I don't know, I'd say like September, October 2018, around that sort of time.
Nice. I think that's what most people miss in it. It's the internet value aspect of it, how big it's going to be beyond just a little bit of fucking profit for a few people or a currency exchange. It's going to be a lot bigger than that down the line.
Yeah, especially when you've got very basic understanding of economics. You know, I think it's fair to say most people have learned what they know throughout this journey. There's probably not a lot of people that understand the ins and outs. And to be fair, if they did, they probably wouldn't be buying in anyway. So it's kind of caught everyone at the right time. It's piqued that interest. And I think the journey along the way has been, a complete learning curve.
Yeah, it's fucked up, innit? It's fucked up. Like you said originally about conspiracies as well, there's so many conspiracies and theories of where it all come from.
Yeah.
The Satoshi shit and it all being a little bit hush, wink, wink. It was the cyberpunks, they surely know who it is, do you know what I mean? David Schwartz being involved from such an early time, like so someone knows who it is.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of, I think a lot of people in the community have got into Ripple and then they've started dabbling into the conspiracy side of, you know, of how kind of things work. But mine was the other way. I was quite into that for years. I think probably about 7 years, I think, or something around that. Dipping in and out, David Icke, you know, all these types of guys. And then I come across this and I'm like, a lot of the guys I follow have been saying about or talking about a cashless society. And then you start understanding about Ripple and XRP and how scalable it is and how it's going to work with the banks and potentially put everything on the blockchain and the ledger and basically cancel out cash. So I'm like, alarm bells are ringing. Like, I've heard this. I believe that this is possible. And then you're given the company that's doing it. So it's like almost a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's all come full circle.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's a weird one, innit? Because everyone wants to bring up control then, don't they? Cashless society is just a way to control us. I'm just sat here thinking, like, I'm not already controlled. How much more can they control there? Do you know what I mean? I personally think it's to control the people who only deal in cash. The people who are outside the system and stay outside the system as much as they possibly can. Whether you want to say homeless all the way up to money launderers and and criminals. It's them who they're going to get control of. They've already got control of us. But they don't need to worry about us. They've been controlling us for as long as we've wanted a bank and a passport.
Yeah, especially things like Apple Pay. You know, people are paying for shit with their watch.
Yeah.
That's already there. It's already happening, but it's the other side. But that's why my argument is I don't think Bitcoin's going away, because something has to cater to these markets. Not so much the car boot sale, the cash, the backhand drug deals, but more the bigger, the war on drugs, the CIA, the military operations. Like, how's that going to be funded if we've got access to people's wallets?
They're going to see who's funding who, aren't they? Somehow.
Yeah, exactly. So surely Bitcoin's got to be a part of that. Not necessarily saying I agree with that or I'm massive on Bitcoin, but surely there's something there.
I think you'll find that's about 60% of what's happening with regulation at the moment. I don't think it's how they're going to insure mine and your crypto. They'll know that like that. It'll be, how are we going to get access to private ledgers if we need to follow a serial killer, or to follow a rapist, or an anti-money launderer, or any criminal they want to follow. It's going to come a time where his money or his value bounces into a private ledger, and the regulators will need access, which everyone would agree that once you've stepped a certain line, then the powers that be need to gain access to find you. So it is interesting, but I think that's the main thing behind regulation is what they're going to do to stop that side of it, and how are they going to track people. And then you've got the scale, haven't you? You've got people who are like, well, I don't want to be tracked. They want privacy versus security again. Everyone wants privacy until they're robbed, and then they want to know exactly who robbed them, why he robbed them. They want to know everything about him then. Want to fucking kill him. You know what I mean? It's like, well, hang on a minute. What privacy last week?
That's the thing that I agree with, but it's the lawmakers. Where does it stop? So we do a video like this and chuck out a few ideas, and then it comes up, the algorithm catches the keywords or buzzwords. They're like, well, I'm cutting Scott off. You're in Sainsbury's buying your lunch, done. You're done. There's no cash alternative. It's just, do you know what I mean?
That's the interesting side of it, isn't it? Who's got the power to do that?
Yeah.
Should the network have the power to do that? Should the local community? Does that not happen already to shoplifters?
On that level.
I mean, like if you shoplift and then you buy from the shop, you're not going in the shop. But on a different level, the most interesting thing for that for me is debt.
Yeah.
In arrears debt. So if you've got a bill to pay on Friday, say you've got £100 in your bank and you've got a £60 bill to pay and you don't pay it and you go in arrears, you've missed a payment, but then you go to the pub to spend the £100. Should the pub be serving you when you've not paid your current bill?
Oh, yeah.
Or should they be like, hang on a minute, mate, you've got £100 in your account there, you're supposed to give Vodafone 60 yesterday, go outside, pay Vodafone and we'll give you the pint.
Yeah, you'd be like, what, you my fucking missus? Jesus, I've had to lie to her already, now I've got to fucking lie to you.
That's what I mean, that's the interesting side of it, isn't it? Someone said the other week, I don't know who it was, but someone was saying in a video, imagine you had your net worth on your chest, how different spends your value.
It's like that film Time, isn't it?
Yeah, where the time's on the wrist. How much time you got left. But legitimately, say like you had $5,000 debt, no matter what you had and what you own, you had $5,000 debt and you had a mortgage and it's like 125 grand. You're walking around with this flash car and Rolexes and all that, and all that's doing is putting finance on you and sending you into minuses. And everyone's like, yeah, nice car, mate, but you might want to put that number in your chest out. Do you know what I mean? How differently would people live if everyone's value? You can click the Forbes list now and find out how much certain people are worth. Why can't they know what you're worth?
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you know what I mean? Transparency. It's transparency. The social score will work for us if businesses are accounted for it too. So if we can hold Asda account, like fucking lower your prices, you're not even paying staff anymore, you can't. That kind of thing, do you know what I mean? Seriously, what happens to prices when they've cut all these jobs? Like, oh, we're cutting jobs because it's all automated now. We're just going to be like, all right, well, you're not paying the robot, so what's happening to your prices? Are they coming down? Because you can't be taking all them wages as profit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how inflation works on that basis. Because inflation is the price of goods, the price of shipping, the price of wages.
Listen, when we watch Christine Lagarde and all them talk about a reset, a monetary reset, an economic reset, this reset, that, I think it's a lot bigger than we initially realised,
Yeah.
I actually truly do. I don't think it's no 2-year fix. I don't think it's migrate to ISO whatever 22022 and then it's done. The world's saved. Do you know what I mean? It's far from that. I think we've got a long road to go to change policy, and it'll continue to change along the way with the new generation understanding it more than we do. Do you know what I mean?
Do you see there being a direct correlation with cryptos going up where economies are going down, or do you think it's going to be a case of everything's to the ground? And
no, I believe crypto's a safety net, me. I think on-demand liquidity through XRP is the safety net.
Yeah. Do you think they'll dip into that instantly?
Shane Ellis theory comes to mind then, doesn't it, mate? Do we wake up one morning and it's gone times 500? Do you know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah. When the world's
the power to do that, as they sucking at this escrow, where like is anyone truly watching where it all goes and knowing where it goes? We talk about liquidity pools being built. Who's got them? Is anyone actually following the wallets and can actually tell me who's holding what liquidity pools where and how big they are? We all kind of know what's happening, but we're not watching it in a sense that we can. I can't watch that shit and understand it. You could go on what is it? FAQ. Is it Hyperledger Compose? Not Composer. That'd be building something because you're composing. Hyperledger Explorer or Burrow. One of them two. If you download that to your Linux PC, open source PC, you can watch any ledger you want if you just put the code in. Apparently.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So this is the transparency side of it. But what happens? This is what I say about kids will probably grow up learning how to do all that shit, where they can just watch what's happening. We say it's all happening behind closed doors, but you're perfectly welcome to go on GitHub and look at what Vietzvind or Davey Schwartz or anyone else is building, because it's all there in the, looking at what they call contributions. They're all putting contributions to the network in, and it pings up for anyone to read, and then anyone can build on it because it's all open source.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, I see it all the time on Twitter, people are arguing about how it's going to play out. I think there needs to be room for imagination because we don't know. This has never happened before. Last time there was a liquidity crisis, there was fuck all liquidity. It was 7 years. 7 years of just fucking slowly building the economy back up. This is a complete different scenario. Is it going to happen simultaneously? Is there going to be, the way that things like this normally play out is it's the problem, action, solution. There'll be a problem, there'll be an action, and then the solution. Obviously, we know, luckily, we at least have a strong guess at what the solution is going to be. But do we know the timescales? It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 seconds. You just don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting when put like that, innit? You'd have to, an educated and conservative guess, knowing that the full migration of the banking system is basically complete in 2023. That's a good case of argument to say that they're not ready until then.
Yeah.
They're not completely 100% ready until then. But how much of a safety net can it be before then?
Well, in terms of building the full liquidity, ideally price needs to rise. So is there going to be stages where price is going to rise? If it's pegged to whatever, there's going to be a bigger pool of liquidity based on that. And then it's going to, when it's called upon, that's when it becomes, it's never going to be scarce, but it's going to become a slightly scarcer asset when it's used, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like we say, if Kurt would probably have a lot to say on that side of it. It's all how would they do it, again, without truly understanding it, all these futures contracts and that, I'll buy it at this price and stuff like that, like promising to, basically a promise to buy in the future at a certain price. I think that's got to affect it in a certain way, innit? It's a contract for the future. It's hard. I cannot call it. I don't know whether they can just flood the market with buying pressure and fly it up. If legitimately one day they're flooding most of the traffic here and they're flooding most of the traffic there, and the Fed's still doing what they're doing to try and prop it up, and then the day comes where they've got to end it, and all that traffic all of a sudden just goes to ILP at 2 o'clock in the morning, and by 6 o'clock it's just put buying pressures, just took it up to 589. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like you said originally. Then a few minutes ago, it's never happened before.
Yeah,
you can compare the architecture of the Internet of Value and ILP to Internet Protocol and the Internet of Data. You can 100% compare the architecture. You can look at how the Internet of Data grew and it turned into value, and how some people use the knowledge of where it was going to get rich. You can use that, but for the digitization of the world, like tokenizing all the other databases, like I say all the time, the financial system is just the start. It's just the first step, because every other system runs through those systems. You can't have like all the value of the other databases on the planet runs through the global financial databases first. So not only are they building a new system that can suck in a whole new microeconomy from everyone who's struggled to get financial services in the past, they're about to speed up our current economy from supply chain to production. It's like when people aren't waiting that long for money again, they've got it instantly. They can move on, and the business can actually speed up.
Yeah.
You can imagine a business that had to make something, sell it, ship it out. The money maybe didn't get through till the shipping was received, and then he waited 3 to 5 days to get more money, and then he could buy more product. Whereas with the new system that's about to come out, Internet of Value, it's going to be instant settlement, and he can boom, and his business is going to get a lot quicker. Someone who couldn't receive value and couldn't even get his business off the ground in Central Africa can now make a little bit of business. The way it's going to grow out is going to be unbelievable. I don't think they've got enough apps or it doesn't seem like they've got enough apps and infrastructure to truly manage it yet. Could be a year or two away till it finally does go.
Yeah. Well, they're probably going to start building the banking infrastructure around it as well. Not necessarily Santander's partnered with Ripple, but there's going to come a time where, so at the moment, when you're purchasing something, once you put in your PIN and it transacts, that's just data. And then 3 to 5 working days later, the money's, the settlement's done. Whereas what I believe is going to happen is you put your PIN code in, your currency transfers straight to XRP, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, bash, straight back into the same currency in someone else's bank account. When you have a bank account with a ton of XRP, you're cutting out the original transaction from pound, euro, dollar, whatever, to XRP, and it's just going straight XRP calculated to pound straight in that person's bank. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that infrastructure isn't necessarily there yet, unless I don't know about it.
This is what I'm saying. As far as we're aware, they're building the liquidity pools now. Are they just exchanges?
Yeah.
When you go on Ripple's website, it shows the Ripple ledger and what exchanges are pushing through the ledger. They just then mix with a couple of ledgers that have been built on, like the APIs. Again, like you're getting into territory that as a coder you don't really understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's take Tipbot and XRP. So I'll be learning a little bit of this off Josh soon. So I'm hoping in the next few weeks I've got a little bit of a bigger grasp on it. But Tipbot, is that on and in the XRP ledger? Or is it built outside of it on its own with its own little API to it? Do you know what I mean? Is it its own little liquidity pool of XRP simply because it's a place where you can put XRP? And then all the ledgers of the planet. So I've got them locked away at the moment, but our ledgers, is that its own little ledger on XRPL, innit? And then you get to XRP scan. If you scan your ledger, it's just your ledger's wallet. But if you scan Yrex's wallet, you'll see like 1 million XRP. And then you tag your specific things. So how does that work from a tag? What's the difference? Is our ledgers on the XRP ledger? What's the difference between building on it, in it, to
Wirex is a pool
with an API? Do you know what I mean? It's
Wirex is a pool, isn't it? Anywhere with a tag, I think, is a pool.
Yeah.
So
you know when you get a tip on Tipbot, is that an instant settlement? Have you ever? I don't suppose anyone's ever got a tip and looked.
Oh no, yeah, it is instant. Yeah, it's pretty much boom there. Almost instantly after the tip bot sees the tweet, it's done. Okay. So again, I'm not talking like I could go and make one. It'd take a hell of a long time, and it would have been someone else that made the nodes. But if you download a program, say called Node Red, and you'll have a load of widgets and nodes down the side, it'll be all like Twitter bots and this bot and that bot. It's like a little API of code. So it starts with an activator to activate the bot. Then you have an action, boom, until it's closed. So basically, all Twitter Tipbot is one of those, a bot made on Node-RED, and its activator is at XRP Tipbot, and then the amount. What it does then, it has a second bot that looks for that tweet, looks for the amount and who to send it to, and then Beatsfinder somehow programmed into the next node, go into the XRP ledger, create a wallet if they haven't got one, because we all know Tipbot creates a wallet for them. So if that Twitter address hasn't got a wallet, create a wallet. If it's already got one, just move the XRP from that Twitter account to that Twitter account. To him, it might have been simple as fuck to make. I don't know. It sounds complicated as fuck, but
I've only just set it up, and I went on there and I've got tips.
Yeah, you don't even have to have an account live, do you? You can just send it to people.
Say it created it for you because people tipped you. Now, this is what I'm saying about if we go to the 90s to make a website, you need to know like HTML code. You couldn't build a website back then without knowing code, whereas now you just go on Wix. Do you know what I mean? And like I've just said, then you can just get Node-RED and learn how to make little bots now for online that'll be a little chat bot for you, or go and search hashtags. At the moment, hardly anyone can make a blockchain ledger. Certainly not many people that can make one as fast and reliable as XRP. In 20 years, how easy is it going to be for the kids, next couple of generations, to just go online, make their own personal ledger and store everything from all the data to all the value on their own personal ledger that they built themselves.
Yeah. I see, it's hard to predict the future, obviously, but I could imagine that in the kids of today, when they're our age, they're going to be a lot more entrepreneurial than, say, we are. Things like pensions, I feel like your pension's going to be solar panels. What you're going to be doing is storing up energy, and then it's going to be, you're going to be trading. So you could be trading with your next door neighbor just through a text. Oh, power's gone. I need X amount of whatever, kilowatts. Okay, bosh, done. Transaction, 50 quid. It's going to be, you're going to be kind of producing your own, your own economy on a very small scale, as opposed to, the whole kind of corporate pension kind of, it's like the old money. That is very much a thing of the past. And if you look at GE now freezing pensions, we're probably going to be the last generation probably the next generation is actually the last, and we're going to see the transition between the two.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's super interesting. That fascinates me where pensions are going to go. It fascinates me how insurance and everything, the payments, payment systems are going to change.
It's all going to be the data. Like, data is the biggest. It's the biggest economy,
And it's, what was it on that video? I put it on Cinnamon the other day. Something like 2.5 quintillion bytes per day or something that we're creating at the moment. We create more data per day at the moment than we created in the whole human existence before the internet.
Wow.
So all the tablets, all the Vatican scrolls, everything that was left at the Library of Alexander, whatever it was, everything, every book, everything that predates the internet, we make more data than that now on the daily. It's unbelievable, and it fascinates me and makes me think about what's that going to do for value when a creative person can just sit in his bedroom and go boom, and he's created a valuable smart contract sealed skin on Fortnite.
Yeah.
Goes and wins a couple of tournaments, and he's created something of value.
Yeah.
People will create more value once the internet of value takes off, like the internet of data took off. It meant we created more data, or it made data valuable. This is just going to make more things of value.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable when you start trying to really go into it. Really, really is. Do you have an exit point of like a first price mark that you're actually looking at for XRP?
I'd say a tenner.
£10 a coin, and then you're actually thinking about making moves.
Yeah. So I wanted to set up enough that I can leave in there forever, a decent amount that I can leave forever. And then whatever I cash out on the way, I've got certain points, but I'm still buying. So the percentages are changing, but I'll be selling out a few points as I go, but ultimately there's a big chunk that I'll be leaving, because I don't think you're ever going to have to cash out. Like I said, once that infrastructure's, once that infrastructure set up, you'll have X amount of XRP, and it will be the equivalent of, a market that's just constantly fluctuating as kind of like, gold to the dollar does now. And it will just do it all on your behalf. So you'll just be buying shit with
your card as usual, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Revolut,
Oh, sorry.
Your Revolut cards. You just be spending it off that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even no.
I'm thinking somewhere around a tenner, because I've been in it for ages and I want to see some money. If we go anywhere near 50, that's another sort of cash out point. I don't think there's much point in cashing out between then, in my opinion. Somewhere around 100, and then I'll be leaving the rest for whatever.
Yeah, well, some people have to, people need to be careful. Don't get caught in any bear and bull traps and that. And
yeah.
But they make peace with the prices they trade it at, because it could move ridiculously fast when it starts moving. And if someone was to say jump out at 50, and then just a few days later it's 75, depending on how much you pulled out, that could have been a hell of a lot of gains in just a few days. You need to be because you can imagine everyone's got a little bit sat back now, aren't they? And they're like, oh fuck, it goes when it goes, mate. You know what I mean? Fucking almost give up on this shit, love.
Yeah.
I guarantee, mate, as soon as it's the next all-time high, I'll be like, oh,
yeah,
is this it?
That's when it gets hard.
That's when Twitter's going to be like, this is it, new all-time high, and everyone's going to be like, oh, what the fuck? You're going to have people call the top with a...
Yeah.
What percentages of people going to try and call the top with? Do you know what I mean? You could see the biggest bear trap in history.
Because it's easy to hold when you're in the red. It's fucking easy.
Yeah.
When you're at the bottom, it's a bit harder, because you're thinking, is it going to go all the way down? But when you're in the green and you're sitting there on £1 million and you're a bang average guy earning 25 grand a year.
Yeah, but I think going to start knocking bosses out and just going, oh man,
exactly. Yeah.
Happen, mate. We're just like, listen, have you seen the price of these herbs today, lad? You better watch your mouth. I'm home. I'm gone.
But that's what it is. It's a polarity. There's somewhere between fear and greed. You need to be careful of the pendulum that's swinging. You're going to cash out. Is fear going to let you cash out your whole 2, 3, 4 years worth of holding for a tenner? Probably not a good idea. You're going to hold every single XRP, hoping it's going to go to 589, £1,000, whatever, and it doesn't. A lot of people in the XRP community read the last wave. They thought it's never going to stop. They could have been 50, 60, 70k up. Fucking hell, they could be buying it at 25 cents now. Obviously, that's hindsight and in an ideal world, but
hindsight.
But I think you need to make peace with your decision. Whatever happens, happens. You've made your decision. You stick with it. And if I sell out at 10, make a load of money, it drops back down to 4, mate, I'm putting half back in. I'm back at my level. You know, you need to be kind of strategic and sit and kind of wait for it to play out. But you need to make peace, I think, with what it matters to you. If you're telling me, yeah, but you could have had 10 million, I'm saying, mate, I only need 2. I only need 100 grand. Pay my mortgage off. That's all I need.
That's what I try and say about just getting happy.
Yeah.
Set yourself a vision of the life you want to live, so you can basically sit on your ass and think to yourself, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? What do I actually want to do every day? And how can I turn that into a business idea? And you should be aiming for that.
Oh yeah.
But the first thing is just get happy that you go in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's when people won't start rushing into things. They'll just be like, well, we're gonna get there in the end. So either got to get zen. You've got to start looking into that Buddhism. It's attachments, mate.
Yeah. You need to be thinking about it now. What is it that is going to make me happy? Keep working, like set up a bit of a project now to buy you some time, because if you're sat there in a job that you hate thinking, you know, there's nothing worse than being a pre-millionaire.
No.
Your boss speaks to you, you're like, mate, you fucking have no idea. But the reality is you got fuck all. I've been there.
It is. It is. The one day though, you're gonna walk in and it is actually happening. That's the impressive thing on that. That's impressive. I get looked at in work now like I'm an absolutely complete fucking nutter. Not just because of crypto, because of what I was talking about before with DMT. Yeah. Just what that's made me believe. It's. Do you believe anything on the TV anymore, like in the mainstream media, to a certain extent? You think there's a little bit of falsifying in every single article, like I do?
Yeah, like I said, to get into this market, I've been through those. Yeah, I've been kind of down that path for a long time anyway. So I hear something on the news, and it's quite bad because initially I think bullshit, which is probably the worst thing. You should probably think, okay, maybe, but I'll look into it. I think bullshit, and then I'll try and prove it right. Does that make sense? Rather than believing it and trying to prove it wrong, I'm more the other way. I kind of don't believe any of that. Sorry?
That's how it should be, yeah. You know, question everything.
Yeah, exactly. I like it at work as well. I'm sat there like, this doesn't mean anything. I hope my boss ain't watching. He probably ain't. I've been banging on to him about this for years and he don't give a shit, so it's probably not. But I'm sat at work like, this doesn't mean anything. It's just, it's just a job. Obviously, I try and do my best, but it's just a fucking job. Like, if it all goes wrong, it just kind of goes on, doesn't it?
Oh, mate. I've 2 weeks off without telling them. And you're fucking gone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's there all day, every day, thinking, oh, fucking hell, better do this, better do that.
Yeah.
And they're just, the people in charge just like that, stay in fucking line, dickheads.
Oh, that's it. What was that? Jim Carrey, the Jim Carrey quote, he's like, my dad always said, get a safe job. So he was an accountant. He had a safe job as an accountant, and then they let him go. So it's like he's kind of wasted his life on a safe job that was never, all it takes is a recession and you're gone. Or you turn up late too many times in a month, you're out. But what is safe? I don't know. It's just a construct that we've...
No job's safe unless you're happy and being paid for just living.
Yeah.
There are people on the planet, people deny it. I try and tell them and they deny it. And there's people on the planet that love what they do, that get out of bed in the morning like, yeah, I can't wait to go to work today, I'm going to smash it. And they actually get paid for living the life they want to do anyway. If you offer them riches and a different life, they're just like, nah, I'm good, mate. Love what I do. Love what I do. Not that there's not the greedy people in certain industries, do you know what I mean? But there's a lot of people that are doing what they want to do. Influencers.
I think at that level, yeah. But if you've got someone that's like, I don't know, pharmacist, nothing against this job, but pharmacist at Tesco, get up every day. I love my job. I love it. I'd rather get paid less and love what I do. And you're like, do you love it, or are you lying to yourself or convincing yourself that you love it? I think if you've had the awakening, it's like, you've probably had it yourself. It's like a fucking midlife crisis in your 20s, and you're like, I shouldn't be having this. What's going on? Then when, you know, you're sort of down in the dumps and you're thinking, like, what's real? That's fucking, it's all bullshit. Then you find what you love. I feel that's a bit different than, oh yeah, my dad told me to be a lawyer. I do it. I love it. Do you love it? Do you, you know, I think there's
people need to have serious, this is what I'm saying. They need to have a serious sit down with themselves, make sure they're on the path they truly want to be on. And if you're not, like, I'm not going to Gary Vee it and say, quit your fucking job. Do you know what I mean? Keep doing your job, but start doing what you want to do on the side. Like, people sit there and moan, innit?
Yeah.
And you try and talk to them, and the crazy, the amount of people have tried to say how much DMT's like just changed me. It's collectively, fundamentally changed me as a person.
Yeah.
Even if ever so slightly, a few people are like, I'm going to say that off, not fucking having it, I'm not having that then. And I'm like, yeah, but it's made me a better person. Do you know what they that bit? Some people just don't want to change, even though they hear them moaning on the daily, oh, I fucking hate life. Why do we do this? Why do we do that?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's something there that can change you a little bit, mate, if you go on that fucking journey.
Yeah. So for me, what that did is I've kind of always been a bit like, I've kind of just done my job. Like, I do like what I do. I'm pretty good at what I do, and it, you know, pays for my house. It's, you know, pays for the family or whatever. But when I did the DMT, it didn't necessarily make me think I want to quit. You know, I want to be a hippie and live in the fucking mountains. It made me understand that it's a game. It is a game, and I'm playing the game. So to know that you are playing the game is quite powerful. At least it was for me anyway. So I'm going every day thinking, so, like, whereas before I'm thinking, I can't be asked to be here. Now I'm thinking, someone's paying me to, number one, make money, because I do sales. Number two, to learn and to grow. And number three, I'm playing the game. I know what I'm getting back for what I'm putting in. And I'm more at peace with that now. I'm like, it is a game. It's a construct, and is what it is. And I've just got to kind of crack on. And also, you start to realize that nothing is forever. You know, you might love something. That's good or bad. You love what you do, but it could end. Fucking, you could die tomorrow. But and it makes you think about that. Fucking, like, it makes you think about that regularly. But then also, if things are bad, I'm thinking, do you know what? This ain't forever. Like, I'm in a client meeting and it's tough and they're grilling me, and I'm sort of thinking, in about half hour, I'm going to be on the way out of here, fucking, you know, laughing about what just happened in there. It doesn't matter. It's not serious. You don't have to take anything as seriously as like I did before.
Have you seen the CIA document basically like admitting that they've ascertained, they've decided, they've figured out that consciousness can actually leave the physical body, move to different parallels, realities, dimensions, and speak to other entities and interdimensional beings? Have you seen that document?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm in another Telegram group with a couple of like-minded people. One of them, Critical Mind on Twitter, and he shared that with me about a month ago. I don't know if that's where you come across it and it was out.
Yeah, I think so. It was floating about Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the astral projection. You know, and there was another one where they spent millions, and this was in like the 40s or something, where it's kind of a law of attraction, which is just, again, like a bit of a new age, you know, kind of bullshit thing. There's a lot to it, a lot more to it than, you know, what she says, but where, yeah, the mind is more powerful than the physical reality. And it was like an archived study.
We was talking to Boo Boo last night. She was saying that, wasn't she? About like if you isolated a kid and taught a kid that you could be, or flagged the kid in some way that you could be telekinetic and actually move stuff with your mind, would the kid actually grow up to be telekinetic? You know, is the brain that powerful with electromagnetism? It was an interesting conversation we had with Boo Boo last night. We're going to do a podcast with her next week about it all. Has it made you believe in some sort of life after death?
Oh, definitely. I'm a big believer of reincarnation. Big believer of reincarnation. Not like in the Hindu or Buddhist type, like I was a monkey in the previous life, you know, that sort of stuff. But fuck me, where do I go with this? This is deep.
Yeah, get deep.
But it's like the energy sort of recycles the soul.
Yeah, Yeah. It's not even so much of reincarnation. It's more recycling. But I read the years ago. It's the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and then very recently I listened to the audio book of the Buddhist Book of the Dead, no, Tibetan Book of the Dead. Sorry, and that's what they're saying. It's basically, and this is the Tibetan sort of level, is a bit different than maybe the commercialized Western Buddhism that you kind of, we'd probably hear about. But what they're saying is, there's ways to exit the cycle, and it's like, again, not necessarily my exact belief, but it's almost like a bit of a hijacked recycling of the spirit. You come back, you're born again, you don't know fuck all until you're 7. Between the ages of, the 3rd trimester till probably 6 or 7, you're not even fully consciously aware. You're like a floppy disk, and they've downloaded all the information around you. It's the whole, nature versus nurture. And then you're 7, and then you're convinced that that's the way your life is. And at some point, you might have some recollection or some gut feeling that, there's something more going on. But a lot of people will just kind of ignore it and just crack on.
Interesting.
Rambled on there.
That's when your brain's it's full size, that, isn't it? 7 years old.
So are you guys into, I don't know, any set philosophy around that, or? Well, I'm guessing the DMT.
I've been looking at Buddhism before DMT. I was looking at just an answer to connect the. I wanted an ancient civilization that connected with my science version of everything, because I've always believed in a multiverse, parallel realities, basically the quantum theories before there was even really theories, before the brain smarter than my brain came up with stuff. So I'm torn between quite a few things, to be perfectly honest. I believe we're just a fraction of our true self in this vessel. We're not even like all of it. We're not all of us. Call it your soul, call it your essence, call it your cosmic self, whatever. I think there's about 10% of us always in the realm we come from. And I think then we're spread between all the parallel realities of our journey.
Yeah.
That comes to quantum choice. Like when you're making a decision, you're making a new reality, because your essence, cosmic self, when you all return to him, he needs to know every side of the decision you could make, or what the fuck kind of journey was that? You know what I mean? If you only get one side of it.
I do feel that you come back to live every scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's always a theme to someone's life, whether it's unconditional love or anger, just angry for no reason. You need to overcome that anger or whatever it is. So some people could come and live a very short life. However, the lesson is, I need to, to learn to appreciate fucking life. I don't know, whatever it is, but you're coming back, who's to tell you weren't a Chinese girl before? I don't know, and next time you come back, you're a guy in Central Africa. And I think exploring things like that, it's what's led me to think like racism as a concept. Like, fucking, what the fuck is that? You had no choice in who you are and what you look like or where you were born. It's just a complete, I don't know, it might be an accident, who knows, but what the fuck is that all about?
That's why, without going too again, like religions, the most religions of the planet are too controlling.
Yeah.
Talk about burning in hell for eternity and all this stuff and that stuff, and it just doesn't sound like anything that any kind of god or cosmic being had designed, in my opinion, which is why I was looking for something like Buddhism with a samsara cycle.
Yeah.
That like mixed with what you said, I'm open to almost all interpretations, mate.
Yeah. See, I'm happy to admit I know fuck all, but I'm not afraid to just blur out some bullshit. Put a lot of people who watch this think, they're going to get deep into crypto here. Jay's talking about fucking reincarnation. But you know what? Fuck it. It's the way the conversation's gone. But I do find, in terms of the control aspect, it is quite strange that certain pockets of the globe are, it's religious states, complete different religions. So you go to the Arabic states, it's Islam. You go to India, you know, it's Hindu, and you go over to the east, it's Buddhism, and you go over to the west, it's Christianity. Is that planned? Is that to completely divide us, or we're
but if you go further back, it's all just Olmec and similar stuff in it.
Yeah,
they all built
paganism
pyramids everywhere. They all built similar pictures of the so-called gods and entities everywhere. You had all. I don't think there's any humanoid structure that's older than the Olmecs. Do you know what I mean? It's legitimately. Let me Google it here now, because I'll pull this up on the screen as I'm screen recording.
I don't know much about that.
No.
Where is that?
All over the world, as far as I'm aware, in several places. But these are giant stones. Like, you're talking giant stones.
We're not talking like the Easter Island.
Similar, but older. Like, these are the first ones, and so they're in South America, near the Amazon and that. Older than anything else in the Amazon. I'm getting it up here now. They're in Ethiopia, Mexico, ancient history of the Olmecs, Africa. I think they can be found in Asia. Now, apparently, one of Christopher Columbus's men that was with him, who wrote journals. He wrote a journal one day saying, no matter where we go, we see Africans. And there's a guy, what's he called? Hotep or Hotep Jesus. He's on a Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah. He doesn't believe Africans were ever put in boats and taken from Africa as slaves. He believes they was caught as slaves everywhere they was found. He was already in America when Columbus and that got there. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's mad.
If you go far enough back in Christianity, so there was a book called Sacred Mushroom, Sacred Cross, or something like that, and it's about one of the original translators of the original Bible tablet, and he deciphered it and claimed that if you go far back enough, there was a mushroom culture of DMT experiences, and it makes complete sense. Stories about burning bushes and that, and Ten Commandments from the other side.
A lot of people say that's where consciousness went to that level, is psychedelics.
And this is what I was saying. 2,000 years ago, they created the illusion of separation.
Yeah.
They made humans believe there was an individual that if they didn't live a certain way and do what they said, they would burn in hell for eternity.
Yeah.
That's where the control starts, because if you go further than that, it's all just Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff that says, look, there's a few laws here, like if you want shit, you're going to suffer. Life's suffering because you want shit. Stop wanting shit. And you can achieve enlightenment, like you say, you can escape the cycle for a bit and only come back when you choose to, kind of thing.
Yeah. What I find weird is I started getting into like David Icke and people like that. And if you actually pay attention to David Icke, you don't just talk about fucking reptilians. That's just like low level, you know, the average person, we're a lizard man. But he's talking about quantum physics. He's talking about consciousness. He's talking about, you know, we're all connected and it's all, you know, an illusion, blah, blah, blah. Then I read the book, The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot, which is fucking awesome. Then I read a book called The 0 Point Field. Pretty similar thing. It's what Tesla was talking about. It's the field that we can connect to, which, you know, gives us the possibility to learn anything or unlimited energy or whatever. Then I went over to India and I was in Rishikesh and I was talking to a yogi guy. And I've said this story like 100 times, but I've not said it on a video. But I was talking to this yogi and he's 10 years in, like been in Rishikesh for 10 years. He's been practicing for like 20 years, whatever. And I said, look, I sat down, had some green tea with him, and I'm with the missus as well. I said, look, let me ramble on with what I think is going on and just tell me if it makes sense to you or what you think of it. So I've gone into the whole, I think this is it's a fractional universe. It's, it's a hologram, blah, blah, blah. We sort of rambled into it. There's no such thing as death. When you die, you're just exchanging energy to another another universe and coming back, whatever. And he sort of looked at me and just sort of shaking his head, and he's like, "Have you just figured that out?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Like, a lot of this was like conspiracy information. So I said it to this guy, and he's like, "That's like, if you just figured it out." And he started going into the level of like the levels of karma and all this sort of stuff. Then I got back and I got into hermetics. So it's like the ancient mysticism, it's kind of the underground knowledge, the sacred knowledge. So I got into Manly P. Hall, who's sort of one of the main dudes. He was a 33rd degree Freemason, bit of an expert on hermetics. And you get into that, and they say the fucking same thing. So I'm like, so you got the Buddhists, the Hindus, the conspiracy theorists. These guys are just researchers that want the truth. And then you've got the mystics, the ancient Egyptians that are saying the same thing. So I'm just like, I'm still in the process of trying to understand it, and I wouldn't claim to know anything, but I've noticed it in different places, and I'm like, is there something in this? I don't know.
I remember your tweet, "Oh my God, we live in the Matrix."
Yeah.
What about your experience made you put that?
When was that? Because there's been a few experiences.
Like one of the like early on when you was having it, like one of your early tweets about it.
It might have been the holographic universe book. It might have been that.
It's an interesting thing to put, because I think most people, once they've had a DMT experience, come back feeling like this reality is actually fake.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You wake back up just thinking like, look, I'm not really supposed to be here, but I am.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, you're here for a journey.
Did you find when you were coming back? Because I sort of come back and then I went in again, and then I come back again. When I was sat there, I was like the happiest I've ever been. Complete peace. And it was like reality would, obviously, that in terms of how we decode reality, it's your senses will decode a vibrational frequency that you decode through your eyes as color, your ears as sound, like whatever. So that there's sense perception. So as you're coming back, I felt that the veil of like bullshit was like falling back over me.
Yeah. Rather
than the other way, where people think you do that and you go into bullshit land. It was the complete opposite. And I've done it 3 times. Every single time was exactly the same.
I mean, I know I'd have probably come round in the end on my own, but I felt like I needed human contact when I got back. Like I said, I did my experience alone, mate. Never done anything like that. Never done a class A, never chewed mushrooms, no acid, no LSD, nothing. No ketamine, MDMA, ecstasy, pills, none of that shit. Just bud and beer me. It's all I've ever really had. But I started hearing about DMT. I started seeing Graham Hancock about it. I was looking into Buddhism. And I'm like, these two are lining up. It's lining up with what I believe from being a comic geek with a multiverse and parallel realities. It's what's in my face in sci-fi all the fucking time. So I made that video that's on Cinnamon, just linking them all together.
Yeah.
So I just went in on my own, me.
That's brave, man.
I was just like, what it is, innit? I want to do it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I debated ringing Kurt and having someone else there, but in the end, I think he'd gone pub. I was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it on my own. Did it. But then when I got back and I felt like a fucking 4th dimensional being and I wasn't really supposed to be here, I had to ring him up to be like, human contact. I'm like, I need to just speak to you, and couldn't even speak properly at first. I think people are talking backwards because it's a bit as you talk like that. It's like I said on my experience, my trip report that I did on YouTube. I said it's like there's a DC character called Zatanna that casts spells. Do you know what I mean? Dads from the underworld and all that shit. They were smoking some sick shit back then when they come up with that. But she talks backwards when she's casting spells. And if you ever see her in an animated film or anything, it sounds exactly like what people are talking. I've watched a few people do it now. And every time they come back, they're talking like that. For a couple of minutes, they get a little bit of contact. And like you say, you see the veil of bullshit coming down. And they're just like, as if to say, like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Start again. And we're back to this fucking place. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're still remembering you're not really supposed to be here, but you force yourself to come to experience the journey.
Yeah. Did you go out searching for the DMT, or did it find you?
I went searching for it in the end. I had to find a ketamine dealer So if anyone watching, not condoning drug use.
See, mine,
I just go and do it, but if you've been looking for it, find a cat dealer, he'll have some.
See, I was researching it, getting into Graham Hancock and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I went on Snapchat, and there's a guy that I went to school with who I've had on there for a long time, but I barely speak to him. And he posted a picture saying DMT vape. So I'm like, hold on. So I've messaged him. I'm like, mate, let's have a chat. And his response was, because I was scared about it. I was like, I don't know whether to do it. You know, he wasn't forceful, and he goes, I found you. So I've put it out there and you've attracted it, basically. So I was like, fucking, you put it like that, I've got to do it, ain't I? So then obviously, yeah, I did it. We did it in 3 sessions. But the first time I did it, like I said before the video, I went in slow because I was like, I ain't seen this guy for 10 years. I don't know anything about it. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're brave to just go in. So I've done 1 hit and I'm like, you know, everything's crystallized, geometric patterns. Like, you get this like smell, this weird smell, and like everything just goes crystal. And you're like, fuck. It's like you're stoned, but slightly different. I don't know.
Interdimensional, mate. You're like, yeah.
And then I did it the next time. I smashed it, and fucking hell, it was just. You forget who you are. You know, it's like a spiritual death. Like the concept of.
I looked into that before I went on it. Do you know what I'm just thinking? And it's the first time, the very, very first time I thought of doing it, but I failed in extraction. And I'm telling you, when I had it, when I finally got my hands on it, and I finally picked the night I was having it, and I did it, and like I say, I had 40 milligrams in the bowl, and I had one of them little burners, and I just blasted it, but just like that, just one big long suck, like you suck nice and light, you can just watch it all going, and I was like, that was quite a bit, holding it in, because I've been told online to hold it for 15 or 20 seconds. So I'm holding it, and then I'm thinking, right, see if there's any more, see if I've got some left, because I'll get that in rapid in case I need to, and I can't in a minute. Blew it out, nothing even left coming out. Looked at the pipe, it was empty. I just thought, shit, I've done it. Fucking put it down. As I started putting the pipe down, it just went 3-4 ways. Started, like you say, fractalizing. I was seeing patterns. Sat back, and I was gone, mate. I was pulled.
Yeah. You don't even have time to worry about it. You're just gone.
Oh, mate. And I feel like I had the breakthrough easier. I'm right sat here now for the first time I've ever felt it. I feel like because I failed an extraction, I was already ready to just blast this fuck off. But the thing that happened is when I did, I was pulled through my ego death that fast, mate. I'm legitimately with what I can only describe as an interdimensional entity that looks and feels like a dragon. But once I'd chosen and we left the room, it just felt the same as me. And look, there was no essence there. It was all just fractal patterns I couldn't even imagine. And I was struggling. I'm like, where's Scott? And then because I thought of myself in the third person as a vessel, I'm thinking, well, who the fuck's Scott? Why have I just said that like that? Scott? Where is it? Is it breathing? I'm being told that my body's just a vessel, and I'm like, well, is it fucking breathing? Have I died here? So I legitimately started feeling like I've died. I'm a swallowing and all this bullshit. I was basically hyper slapped back out to realise that my vessel was still alive, then pulled back in.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
It's absolutely unbelievable, mate. It's like
once you remember and you go through the whole, like I was like, you know, I'm a person. Like, I'm a real person. And the entity was like, are you? Like, what is real? And I'm like, fuck, what is real? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, have I died? Like, is this death? And I've like fucking freaked out. A couple of minutes later, I've come back. And then, like you say, checked in and I've gone in again. But the second time I did it, I've done it. And whatever this thing was, mine was more like I can't even explain it. It was more like a human. But they've grabbed me here by the pineal gland. And for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's in the center of your brain, and yeah, this is where people say it is. But he's grabbed me here, and he's like, "Welcome home," and he's like, "I want to show you something." And I've just like flown through this wormhole of like a billion colours that I've never seen before. And it's like, it's fucking nuts. But you get this noise and it's like, wow. Did you get that noise?
Oh, I had music on me.
Oh, yeah.
So I came out. So like, I don't know if I actually opened my eyes. I can't really remember. I don't think I got power in my body back. They just give me the vision back to like, and the feeling, the senses of, it's all I had to feel. And then I was gone again. Do you know what I mean? And I could still hear this music I had on. And the next one, my throat's tightening up. And then again, I can feel my face and my physical body and my vessel again. And I just felt it swallow. And I'm like, Rome, gone. The next one was time. Like, they showed me time didn't exist, basically, that I was just looking through. Have you seen Interstellar?
Yeah.
So when he looks through the window in time at his daughter's bedroom,
yeah,
I basically was doing, they showed me my living room like that and showed me the clock at 9 o'clock. I couldn't say 9 o'clock to myself. I couldn't tell myself it was 9 o'clock, but I knew what 9 o'clock looked like. 9 o'clock's fuck all to them. It's fuck all when you get off here, but I knew what it looked like, but I couldn't say it. Like I said, I didn't have full control of this. I was just able to see a clock, but then I went back. I can't remember anything after that. From going back in then, I was back in for God knows how long. Can't remember a thing of it, as if I'm not allowed to retain that bit. Came back round, started fucking again, like I said, needing human contact. Rang Kurt, was on the phone to Kurt till I felt okay. And put the phone down and went to the pub to see him. Realised a little later on that I started the call at 8:56 and finished it at 9 o'clock. So not only was I being shown that time didn't exist, if you ask me, they were showing me the exact time I'd be Scott Pratt again.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And I truly believe that as I'm flying through the multiverse, this interview is just like, listen, bro, time don't exist. And I fucking hyper slap it into you in a minute. Because I'm basically stood on God's doorstep asking what fucking time it is. They're just like, look, 9, blah, blah. And then it took me till the end of the night to actually, you don't get all the answers while you're there, do you? You have to come back and process it and...
Flashbacks.
Oh, can't eat lamb. I want to say like it's changed me. Can't eat lamb anymore, me. I can't bring myself to eat another being's child.
Jesus. Are you going like proper down the vegan, vegetarian?
Nah, I'm a fuck. Still
right.
Aged cow, mate. As long as bitches had kids, she's mine. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not a baby anymore.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I say to people now. I say, look, I'm controlled by a society that forces me to eat meat someone else has killed for me.
Yeah.
The day they will let me have and allow me to have enough land to rear my own animals, grow my own veg, I'll kill the fucking animal when I'm good and ready and I think it's had a good life and it's given me other animals to carry on and feed my children. Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. Either let me live that way or I'm going to have to, can't stop me eating meat, can't do, like, it's what it is, innit? I don't think I'll ever stop eating meat, never say never. I didn't think I'd ever stop eating lamb. I used to love it. With lamb chop and that with a little bit of mint on it. Devastation. I have to say sorry to spiders before I kill them. Got to give them.
Mate, I don't kill none of that.
Got to give them the opportunity to move now.
Yeah.
And if I can move, I move. So just leave the spider alone. But if
I kill it, I've got to eat it.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if I got to that. If I went more, do you know what I mean? And only started killing stuff I eat. But like I said, let other people kill it. The beef and that.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge that, like, this is the only way I could eat you. Sorry, you had a shit life. Do you know what I mean? But I'm being forced to eat like this. You wouldn't have lived like the way you lived if you was with me, kind of.
Well, that's the thing. Like the society today, it's all about muscle meat, so it is the flesh. Whereas in the olden days, you'd kill the animal and you'd eat all of it. You'd eat all the organs. You'd boil the bones. You'd use the fur or the skin as something, shoes or fucking jacket. I don't know. But you'd honour the whole animal. Yeah. Whereas now it is mass produced. And look, I try and go local, but if I'm going Nando's, fuck me, I'm not going to be that guy. Where did you source this chicken?
You know, it's going there though. People want to know that, but it just that's the fundamental surprise to me. that I knew DMT would wake me up a little bit, wake me up spiritually. It'd make me, I don't know what I thought it'd do. I was just hoping that it'd do something, and it did. Because I've believed it all a hell of a long time. Me, like I say, I've read comics for most of my life, and I've got half of the beings I believe in from comics are either alien or interdimensional. I never really put. I went for ages believing the pyramids and all that was just aliens, and never really put interdimensional spin on it. Have you seen any of Graham Hancock's shit?
Yeah.
Where he says, like, listen, I don't want to talk about aliens building the pyramids. I want to talk about the possibility of there being an extremely intelligent human race from 12,000 years ago up to 40,000 years ago. They lived before the Great Flood. And they're the people who talk about in the Great Flood of Noah. That's the story trickling down, you know, through the ages from 12,000 years ago up to when Christ was here. It fascinates me to think that we could have been beyond what we was now back then. And I think it all could have been due to mushrooms and the stoned ape theory. Have you heard of that?
Bits and bobs.
I think it was Terence McKenna who come up with it, didn't I?
Oh, is it? That's the hallucinogenic, which has obviously burst us into a different layer of understanding.
If you think about it, right? Do you believe that we're from apes?
Mate, I had a lot of
apes we know today, an ape-like humanoid, whether aliens created it or what.
Some sort of interception there, wasn't there?
Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? So if we're all in consensus about that, it means something that used to climb trees was forced to come out the trees onto the plains, right? Yeah. Do you think something that ate fruit every fucking day, most days, pretty much all fucking day, and small animals can walk into a plains because the forest disappeared in climate change, whatever, they're forced to walk into these plains, and there's other animals there that they're probably going to see other animals like saber-tooth or whatever's back there eating and realise they've got to adapt their diet. They're not just going to be able to catch meat straight away, are they? No. Everyone likes to talk about, we'd have started cooking meat.
They need the tools.
That's why the brain grew. This is what it comes to, the expansion of the human brain from back in the day to the size of Neanderthals was and the size ours was now. There was great jumps. And it's suggested in the stoned ape theory that because they couldn't catch the animals they was then trying to hunt, they ate the mushrooms from the dung.
Yeah.
So if you eat a liberty cap out of some cow shit and you're a monkey and you're having a DMT experience, you're coming back with some traits that you didn't have when you went. You might have a little bit more courage, a little bit more creativity because of what you've seen. You've got a little bit more daringness. You might be a little bit scared to eat a fucking mushroom next time, so you force 10 apes to go and have an experience. So that's the stoned ape theory. It's believed that like it was an evolutionary catalyst from which language, projective imagination, the arts, religion, philosophy, science, and all of human culture sprang. The hypothesis concerning the influence of psilocybin mushrooms on human evolution is known as the stoned ape theory. It's unbelievable, mate, because it goes back to Christianity being a mushroom culture. It all links back to like DMT, alternate realms, the pineal gland, like I mentioned before. I wanted to say, as you was talking before, have you heard about the Buddhist that died, or the Buddhist that can die? And for 3 days, the chest stays warm. And the yogis can do it as well. They can get in a meditative state, go meditating, and they basically die. The body goes blue, doesn't go limp, stays up, but the chest stays warm for 3 days. And then they basically choose to leave. It's reaching Buddhahood. You know, like they say, escaping samsara.
Yeah. You
choose to leave. You don't just die. You choose to die. You choose to let the physical body go, and your essence goes to one of the godly realms or some shit. Not saying you understand it like completely, but it's all about like life. I've got it up there. Pam Reynolds and a few other people doing research on it. But these guys are dead, cold, the heart not beating, yet the chest is warm as if it were, and still a little bit, still not.
That's it. They're gone, or they come back.
Well, they go in the end. The body goes completely limp in the end, but only when they've chose to leave it.
Yeah, I've seen where people similar, but they'd meditate a couple of days, gone, stop breathing. People think they're dead, and then 4 days later, oh, there's John.
Yeah, we was talking to Boo last night about near-death phenomenon because she's actually died.
Oh, wow.
Boo's heart stopped enough. Yeah, it's fucking. We was quite surprised. We said to her, like, what, do a podcast about it because you won't believe what we're watching now on near-death experience research and end-of-life phenomenon. It's extremely similar to what you get on mushroom, LSD, and DMT trips, iboga trips as well.
Yeah. You were saying about that Ibn Alexandra. So he's a guy that got meningitis in the brain. Died, clinically dead for what, a day? I don't know, whatever it was. Went to another realm, you know, whatever. And then he's come back. But because he was like a proper science atheist. And that's what I find strange. You get a lot of these guys that are, you know, solid reality, atheism, and then stuff like this happens, like DMT or near death, and they never come back and preach the same thing. Like, I find that incredibly interesting. And especially the fact that other scientists would just turn around and say, oh, mate, he's lost his mind. Which, like, well, maybe he's found something that goes beyond science.
Yeah, and Boo Boo was saying last night that we're in a new phase of spirituality, apparently, in the stars and that.
Aquarius, wasn't it? She said.
Yeah,
2012.
It was quite interesting. It was quite interesting what she was saying.
Yeah, because that's what they were saying with the Mayan 2012 calendar. It's not that the world's going to end, it's that it's a new chapter of a raising of consciousness.
Awakening,
so, yeah, it's the awakening. So more people have woke up since 2012 than ever before. But then also, if you look at like the 9/11 stuff, it's like, was that part of the awakening? Because most people that say when I, you know, woke up to it, it was 9/11.
Maybe the trigger.
Yeah, was it a trigger because it's a trigger, or was it a trigger because it's meant to be?
I was at my first job, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Weeks into my
first job after college. Just got out of college, weeks into my first job. I was only about 17. And then we watched that live in the office. I was like, what the fuck? Next day, Bin Laden's pictures all over the paper, #1 suspect, and that. I'm like, what? Is this out of what? Because you did for it all, aren't you? In school and college. You're like, so this is how the world works, yeah.
Yeah, I believed that for about 10 years. Now, I'm like, when I hear, it's got to the point now, and I feel like, I keep talking about it, I feel like they are trying to wake people up, because I feel it's the natural progress anyway. But when you're in the room now, more people believe 9/11 was an inside job than was Bin Laden. Whereas 5-6 years ago, he was the only guy. Do you know what I mean? The tables have turned massively. Fucking like Netflix, every other documentary is about how the government are cunts. Like,
yeah, it's getting a bit. This is why I say, like, what's the true agenda? Even with AI and all that, you talk about AI and it's all like, oh, have you not seen Terminator, dickhead? Not seen Terminator, I don't want AI. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Everyone always wants to have the Terminator conversation with AI and where's it all going and it's going to destroy humanity. If it's truly like for the earth and saving the earth and every animal species on the earth, it's going to save humanity as well. It's just how much of it's going to save. Imagine... Have a serious think about like what an AI that thinks on a level we do, but even a little bit greater and can find what we can't find, gets into all this paedophilia scandal. What's it going to do? It's not going to kill me for that, is it?
Oh, it's going to take down the whole
establishment. Exactly. So I want to have that conversation. Let's get a little bit of that on the internet, so we can see that as well. Take them down, mate. Whenever you're watching this, not us. Legitimately, it's
not us, just him.
Yeah. There's good people on the planet that want the planet to progress and want humanity to progress as a whole. And like you say, more are waking up.
Yeah.
Borders are coming down, whether it's the monetary policies or people are ignoring skin colour. More and more people are doing it. I don't give a fuck what the news says and the propaganda are pushing it in our faces. From what I see, I know less racist than I used to. I see it less than I used to. Do you know what I mean? There's multiple levels of racism, I feel. There's some people who will be a little bit racist behind the group's back, whatever ethnic group the prejudice against or don't like. They'll do it behind the back, never to the face, right? And they'll claim that's not racist.
Yeah.
That's the type of racist I was when I was in school. Do you know what I mean? All been there because we're ignorant. It's ignorance. That wasn't racism. The baseline of racism is fucking ignorance.
Yeah.
But then you just get to outright stupidity and hatred the more you climb the ladder. And
I'll tell you one thing you'll never see is someone that's done DMT and is still a bigot or a racist.
Well, I was going to get on to that. No one who's had a proper breakthrough and actually gone as far as I went from what I feel off it. I've heard people say, oh yeah, went here, went there, and then their actions speak otherwise. From what I experienced, I know if anyone goes where I go, they're going to come back fundamentally changed. And I find what Dorian Yates says funny. He says to Joe Rogan on his podcast, like, I just want to give every politician on the planet a blast of DMT and see what happens to the world. And like you just said, it's right, because you don't expect people to go that far on that experience and come back with bigotry and hatred in their heart. Even if they've changed ever so slightly, they will have lost some form of bigotry. And like I say, it's the illusion of separation's removed.
Yeah. The only way you'll get it is if
connectivity.
Yeah, the only way you'll have those sort of feelings or thoughts after that experience is when there's been a certain period of time between that and society's beat you back up, and because that's what it is. A lot of racism it is ignorance, 100%, but there's a lot of propaganda as well, and people sort of beating you up and pushing you into these little boxes, and like the whole new white guilt thing. Like I can't get my head around that. They're like, yeah, but, you know, your people did this, and I'm like, my people? I'm fucking 30 years old. Since I've been here, I've had friends from all over the world. I don't fucking know. It's just like,
right, innit? We want to talk about what people did. Should we talk about all the sacrifices of the past?
Yeah.
I mean, like the Incas killing 80,000 people in one day. That's pretty bad, innit? It's worse, as far as I'm aware, worse than anything my people ever did. My people. Who the fuck are my people? I'm told if we go back far enough, it's Africa. So we all the same people, are we not?
If you did a DNA
sentence and then bring us together in the next sentence, well, you just can't have it the both ways. You can't be like, well, we're fucking but we're the same. We're different, but we're the same. Like, this is why the Olmecs amaze me. Because, like I say, Christopher Columbus's guy said the Africans everywhere.
Yeah.
In ancient culture. It's can't even fucking see me keyboard. Need to find the Olmec one. Like that Hotep Jesus. 10 pieces of evidence that prove black people sailed into the Americas themselves. These Olmec people, like, this needs to be, why is that not being taught in American schools, mate? To black African Americans, that their ancestors were actually explorers that actually traveled the fucking world and built megalithic structures the size of fucking people. Yeah, we've got a man stood next to one here. It's absolutely incredible. And there was everywhere, South America, Africa, Asia, before anyone else did. They've got helmets on, mate, as if they knew they was ready to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Why is that not taught? Again, it's the control. Just more pieces of the propaganda. They're taught there were slaves on boats being whipped. How degrading it must be for someone who's young to being told that's where their ancestors came from. Not to tell them that there was African kings who sent Olmecs on ventures to discover the world. Education's got to change. I think education online is massive in the end.
Yeah, but then if you look into, like, it's very basic information, but looking into the Rockefeller Foundation in the United States, the funding, the fucking universities, the curriculum. So it's all an agenda. You're only going to learn what they want you to learn, which is to be an obedient worker. They want you smart enough to run the machinery, but not smart enough to ask any questions.
Mm-hmm. But anyone who's interested, I just want to like legitimately point out, there is actually a PDF online, 10 pieces of evidence that prove black people sailed to the Americas before, or long before Columbus. Even Columbus himself in his diaries, according to renowned American historian and linguist Leo Weiner of Harvard University, one of the strongest pieces of evidence to support the fact that black people sailed to America before Christopher Columbus was a journal entry from Columbus himself. Africa and the Discovery of America, he explains that Columbus noted in his journal that the Native Americans confirmed black-skinned people came to the southeast in boats, trading in gold-tipped spears. They fucking took Egyptian artifacts that was later found. Like, they found Egyptian artifacts in North America. There's multiple pieces of evidence that that black people were not slaves. And I ain't saying myself on this journey. Like I say, this is off Hotep Jesus on Joe Rogan. So anyone watching, go and watch that. It's extremely interesting. Some of the shit he says, it really, really is. Like I say, they'd lie to people.
Yeah.
Programming.
Yeah.
Programming control, man, innit? Have you seen that film Bandersnatch? Black Mirror.
Yeah.
A continuous loop.
No, mate, it's like an interactive movie where you decide what the guy does. You can kill him. There's a scene where you have to kill one of them. It's pretty crazy.
You killed him, didn't
you? Can make him go back and get on the train with his mum, and he dies. Excuse me, he dies when he's about 8 years old, and the film never like really.
Do you know?
Starts again.
One thing I always think about is whatever you're not allowed to talk about. And when I say you're not allowed, I mean if you talk about it to the average person, they'll shut you down with no research, no information. That is what I want to know about. So you talk like, you know, something like climate change, right? Without going too far, do I believe it, do I not? I don't fucking know. But what I do know is I'm not buying all the bullshit. Like I can't, like, again, this is a tweet I did yesterday and it got me a lot of hate, but, you know, fuck it. Donald Trump, he doesn't believe in climate change, right? Do you not think he knows a little bit more than fucking John at work?
I don't think I've not looked at his tweets enough to start, right? The thing for me is the terminology. I'm open to a conversation and debate that there's a possibility that humans have slightly sped up the warming of the planet. But humans causing climate change, people need to get the fuck out of the room with that bullshit, mate. It's just starting to hurt my ears. It really, really is. Humans causing climate change.
Well, they called it global warming. 15 years later, there's been no warming. So I don't know if you've noticed, but global warming isn't a term anymore. It's now climate change because global warming failed. That's what it was. Within 15 years, blah, 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 the ice cap, fuck it. None of it happened. It's called climate change now. Climate change is it's a secular event. You know, if you look at fucking anyone that knows anything, it's clear. You know, have humans done nothing to contribute? Probably not. You know, we probably have contributed to some degree. Do industries need to change? 100%. But the way they're making us feel about it, like it's me driving 2 miles to work that's causing it, or me in a steak for dinner, that's fucking bullshit. And I'm not buying that. 100%. And I don't give a fuck if I lose followers or people think I'm a fucking arsehole, whatever. I'm not going to be made to feel guilty. You know, I recycle. I'll occasionally walk to work. You know, I'll do the little things. But to turn around and say it's us, humanity are fucking evil, we're, you know, parasites on the planet. No, it's the industries. It's the industries. There's the demand. We're buying into it. You know, without the demand, there's going to be no market. But I'm not fucking pumping, you know, CO2 into the air. I'm not fucking burning or dropping, you know, oil spills in Mexico. That's not me, is it? I'm just here fucking doing a podcast.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. I think too many people who talk about climate change, they don't know enough about the cycles of the planet. More importantly, the precession of the equinox.
Space weather as well, isn't it?
Mate, the precession of the equinox, in my opinion, should now be taught in school, as with other climate change cycles like ice ages.
Yeah.
So, the story of the Greenland ice sheet that's just fell off the other day, fucking billions of tons of fucking ice or some shit, falls into the water. That story should be end of ice age gets closer. You want to have it scientifically and subjectively right. That's the fucking headline. The end of the ice age is getting closer. Yeah. Which basically, guys, just to let you know, the North Pole is just a block of fucking ice. There's no land there. So when all that ice has melted, the ice age is over and the water levels at equilibrium and it'll fucking start again. The cycle starts again.
They said that they found palm trees. So it was frozen palm leaves in, I think it was like very north in Scandinavia. So as the ice is melting, they found indentations in the ice of palm leaves. So there was a point where the tropics have obviously grown, where the general temperature across the globe was probably about 3 degrees higher than it is now, 4 degrees, whatever it is. So is it the end of an ice age, or is it, I don't know. I just think, where's the money? Al Gore. Al Gore's heading up climate change. I look at that and I think, mate, he's fucking making a killing.
Yeah, taxing CO2.
Yeah, that's the latest thing.
Taxing CO2, aren't they? But it's like the precession of the equinox. I think it's like 27,000 years, 26,000 years. So over 13,000 years of Earth's fucking calendars, summer becomes winter and winter becomes summer.
Yeah.
Over
so we have a complete polar shift. A complete shift of the poles,
It goes like that. I've got like a few little images there. It spins in a 360 degree circle. The precession of the V star North Star, 14,000. The poles of the North Star now, so it shows you it goes 1 degree. Like precession, every 26,000 years, Earth's axis of rotation completes a circle. Approximately 12,000 years from now, Earth's axis of rotation will line up with the star Vega. So basically, it'll be summer at Christmas in winter. So for us now, we have winter in December. Sooner or later, it's going to be summer in December. Now, I understand that that's a millennial cycle. Got fucking, could be 5,000-6,000 years until we even see an effect of it. But the fact that it moves a degree in one like human's lifetime, there's got to be a little bit of change.
Yeah.
You've got to expect a little bit of ruffle and shuffle. The fact that we've only been clocking, observing and historically clocking the planet for a few thousand years, it's ignorance again to believe we understand it fully. It really is.
But again, like in terms of the industrial complex and the industries around, the coal industry, the mining, the oil and gas, 100% that needs to change. Completely agree. But I feel like a lot of it is fabricated. And if you look at with the cycles, these cycles happen, they continuously happen. It's one of those things. But it feels like they've just kind of jumped on the natural cycle and they're building a fucking whole multi-billion industry off it. What they're saying, that Dan Penner, is it?
Yeah.
He was saying, look, right, I'm in the oil industry, multi-millionaire, 500 million, whatever it is he's worth. And he's saying, best case scenario on what the climate guys are saying is going to happen, best case is sea levels rise by 10 feet. If that happens, why are the banks lending to people to buy property on the seafront in Florida? It's going to be underwater. Exactly. Why are people, why are the banks lending to the city of London? It's going to be underwater. So it's like no one ever factors that in. But then I think it was about 3 weeks ago, there was a fucking, some news post talking about it. But you're like, I don't know.
If I asked you now, off what you see in the news mostly, what do you think's happening to the ozone layer? And what has been happening to the ozone layer since the year 2000?
Repairing.
Shut up, Chris. What, like, you've
I'm gonna say-
legitimately just ruined that fucking reply, mate, for being someone in the know, but, like, you might have not fucking...
I'm gonna say repairing.
But it's not, is it? They're not, is it? In the mainstream media, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Quite off. That's the one thing you fucking say, mate.
Game
Fuck
over.
you.
I'm off.
It's repairing. So, what they're talking about now? If I told you there was a hole in the ozone in the 80s, and since the 80s it's basically been repairing itself, what would you expect to happen to the climate? Would it not warm up a bit if you close a hole?
Yeah.
It's like shutting a window in it. Is it not?
Yeah.
So this big gaping hole I'm looking at here. So for
It's
people
looking at us,
watching,
yeah.
this was from chlorofluorochlorine or something. What they're called, Chris?
HCFCs, CFCs.
CFCs, yeah.
It's in your hairspray and all that.
Made a long thing.
A yeah, I've lost it.
Yeah, it's an hard one, isn't it?
This is
Chlorofluorochlorine.
one of the things, though. You can't talk about it. You can't talk about that. You can't talk about 5G. You can't talk about fucking veganism.
See, I've noticed about 5G. Do you think it's damaging?
100%.
So how are the people who've made it and the elites getting away from it then? Because it goes 5 miles. There's no escaping it. There's no hiding from it.
Well, this is what I find. This is the hardest thing is when you look at scientific studies, the negatives are always inconclusive, right? So you look at the 5G. You know, I'm talking to people that are in the industry, and they're like, I'm fucking worried about it. People that are studying it at university, I'm worried about it. I work within renewables. I do recruitment, right? So I speak to people that, you know, electronic engineers, blah, 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 to go into different, you know, into the renewable industry. And I talk to them about climate change. And a lot of them are like, you know, big business, you know. So I have this conversation with people that are in the industry, and they're saying, I don't know about that. Back onto the EMFs and the 5G. These guys are worried about it. And I'm saying to them, what about the studies? And they're like, who funds the studies? And it's like this kind of secret hush-hush when you're talking to people that know what they're talking about. But then you talk to someone on Twitter who's got a degree in something but doesn't work within the industry. Well, the science says this. It's like, well, who the fuck funded it? You look at the sugar industry funding the saturated fat studies, you know,
yeah,
for 50
but you don't
years.
have to eat sugar, do you? You're not getting away from 5G, is what I mean. If it's an elite, what do they gain? They're getting fried too.
Well,
you can't just go to the moors and expect and think you've got away from it. It reaches the space station, for fuck's sake.
We've been all right with 4G though, haven't we?
I'm happy with 4G, man. I say just let that ride out. I don't need anything faster. Jesus, man. How fast does it need to be?
Machine-to-machine payments need it faster, don't they?
Yeah. I feel like it's all going to be part of the same thing. You know, Ripple's mass adoption is probably something to do with 5G.
Just speeding everything up.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm skeptical. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. All I do know is you talk about it and you've got all these people fucking shutting you down with just bullshit evidence. I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt anyone and can't hurt anyone. I'm just saying that, like, how's it not hurting the elites if it goes 5 miles? If it's got a 5 mile range, you're always going to have. You're always going to be, unless they're living. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I did a lot of research a couple of months ago. We was going to do a proper video on it. We ended up just doing loads of clips and posting that. But I was deep into it. I was talking to a couple of people. They were sending me studies and whatever. One of the biggest threats to 5G, have a guess what you think it is.
No idea.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
What?
And it's trees in the rain. So like a wet leaf. So firstly, trees are the biggest threat, but especially in the rain. It distorts the frequency because it's such a fast vibrating frequency, and they have to be within a certain radius, right? So a lot of these, 4G, it's a larger radius, where this is such a dense, fast vibrating frequency. Trees. So if you look at, for instance, National Rail, I can't remember the statistics, but hundreds of thousands of trees that they're culling along the way of producing new lines. So Google that. Wet leaves, the biggest threat to 5G.
Wet leaves and 5G. I just struggle to
Mate, they live in the tree houses.
Away from it.
That's what it is. The elites are moving to tree houses.
5Gs have trouble penetrating buildings. I just trees being cut down because they block 5G.
That's what I mean. It's like, what the fuck, man? The most natural thing is a tree, a leaf, especially when it's raining. It's like I don't know. It's like it's the negative ions. You know, when you're sat by a waterfall, it releases negative ions. The sunset and the waves bashing on the beach, or when your bare feet are on the sand, it produces negative ions. That's a tree is a negative ion. So the biggest threat to 5G is negative ions.
So why people should do qigong. Meditate and cleanse your energy. Seriously.
Yeah. Go outside when it's raining. Put your bare feet on the grass. That'll be the most grounding thing you can do.
Yeah. Tai Chi exercises and shit.
Yeah.
There's qigong yogis and masters that they say they can see your aura.
Yeah.
When you go to, like, they can all have flaming DMT experiences without even smoking it, can't they? They just meditate
like
for
breath,
20 minutes and they're there, through breathing techniques, exactly.
So in India, especially in Goa and Rishikesh, everywhere you'll see the signs on the street. They photograph your aura. I didn't do it. I said I wanted to do it, but I didn't get around to doing it. But you can go in and they can take a photograph of your aura, and they'll tell you exactly what chakras you need to get balancing and whatever. So my missus in Rishikesh got the Reiki level 1 as well. So we went down that rabbit hole of Reiki and stuff like that, which is, for anyone that doesn't know about it, look into Reiki. Is
spiritual healing.
Yeah, it's all balanced. It's all clearly balanced.
That's what Boo Boo was on about last night.
Mate, I didn't know she was into all that. That's interesting.
Well, that's like, say, she had a profound experience.
Was it that experience that led her to that? Or was it the other way around? Like, not, obviously that's going to bring on the experience, but was she into it and then...
Both. I think she was already a little bit interested in it all before.
Yeah.
Before the experience, but after it. One of them things where, like, she was on the doorstep of death and basically chose to come back. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking fascinating. That's like I was saying, well, from my beliefs on the quantum level now, there was a version of her that didn't come back, or that chose to fuck off, and there's a realm that actually had a dead boo at that moment, and then a realm that's vibrating on a frequency she's now still on.
Yeah.
That's something you can't even... Yeah. Hopefully we'll know for sure one day.
Mate, you need to get into hermetics.
Yeah?
Yeah. Get into the hermetics and the universal laws, or the hermetic principles. The 7 principles.
Yeah, the principle of correspondence. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Self-mastery. Like that thing I seen the other week that was good. Like, you can't be a man of peace unless you're capable of great violence. Fucking love that, mate. Resonated with me, that shit.
Yeah, that's the way of the peaceful warrior.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Sounds all samurai shit, that shit.
Mate, people are they're going to want to listen to it. Well, they might not want to, but they'll listen to this thinking, crypto. Let's talk about XRP. And we've just gone down this fucking...
Yeah, that's what I want to do on and most. It's why Joe Rogan's podcasts are so good, isn't it? If we have it right, everyone's interested in his podcast because he's not willing to touch on shit, most people would go fucking like crazy. That's not fucking real.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hang on a minute. Let's entertain it and open our minds a little bit instead of just being sat there like programmed fucking sheep that get told how the world works. Let's do a little bit of research and experiments ourselves. Like, it's not hard to just do a few experiments yourself to like prove a few theories you might have.
Yeah.
Just assuming it is the way that you're told it is.
Yeah. One of the guys in the Telegram group I'm in did the that experiment with rice. So he's got 3 jars. One of them hate, one of them he's ignored, one of them love. And the difference between the 3 is incredible.
Yeah, I've seen a few people say they've done that and it's legit test.
Yeah, so there's something in energy.
I've chosen to believe that test.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying now. If I didn't choose to believe that, I'd have to go and do it myself.
Yeah.
I've chose to believe the people I've seen that have done it, so I don't need to go and do it myself. I'm choosing to believe someone else.
Yeah.
But the people
like you say, like,
it's not real.
This is what you find. Like, someone that is, you know, the science, the physical world, like all that stuff, their opinion is fact, at least in their head. But I'm open, and sounds to me like you are as well, to say, I know fuck all, but I'm going to ask the questions. If you say, what is your belief about life after death? I don't know, but the information that I've come across, this is the best that I can articulate right now. Yeah. But in 3 years, it might be different, and I'm open to that. I think that's the difference between, it's the cognitive dissonance. And someone has, you know, I could be wrong. Fuck it. I could look back to this interview in 3 years and think, mate, what a moron. A lot of people are probably looking at me now thinking, what a moron. But I could also look back and say, do you know what? I was on the right path, 100%.
Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that we're part of a collective consciousness. I think the realm we're from, we legitimately was just a curious hive mind that couldn't really experience anything. Yeah. So we've created these other dimensions below us and these other realities and this physical plane. Yeah. That we can come here and experience touch and smell and taste and hate and love and anger and joy and happiness and sadness. And we can cry and we can laugh. Because we couldn't do any of that where we come from. And it's why we always experience the every side of every journey. Which is why, sat at home now, you have to actively make an active decision within yourself and say, listen, I'm going to make sure that when I get to the other side, my fucking journey is the one that is the best. I've had the fucking longest and the best journey out of any other version of me. And I'm going to survive for as long as I fucking can. Because if you put it on a quantum level, like that, on an infinite level, mate, it gets a little bit freaky that one version of you's got to kill himself. Yeah. One version of you needs to be murdered. One version of you needs to get run over by a car. One by a bus. One by a train. One needs to die on a plane. One needs to... Do you know what I mean? You've got to experience every side of everything. When you've just got to say to yourself, listen, I'm going to be the one that takes this linear journey to being 100 years old and die of old age when I choose to go peacefully. But yeah, this is the video. I've got the video up now on the screen that people should watch. It's my links to DMT realms in sci-fi and fantasy. Might get a little bit boring at times for a few people with my crazy ideas on it, but if they just watch it, and especially if you've had DMT, you'll see the similarities popping up in everything, especially the 2 avatars. Avatar James Cameron's with the blue people, and Avatar The Last Airbender, the cartoon that actually has an ego death in it, where he's learning to connect with the avatar version of himself so we can bend all these elements. But the yogi's like that to him. He's like, listen, you got to learn to open all your chakras, meditating. And he's talking about letting go of attachment and shit like that. He's basically teaching him to go through an ego death to go and meet his cosmic self. Sounds a bit like Iboga, you know, the frog venom. Yeah. Not had that yet, the 5 hour DMT. I want to try that soon. Where you go meet your apparent cosmic self, the version of you that remembers every vessel you've ever been. Yeah. You're meeting him as this fucking vessel. Scary shit, that. He could just turn around at you and just be like, listen, why you being the person we shouldn't be being? Yeah. I was looking into
ayahuasca. So going over to Peru and doing a proper, week in the jungle. But exploring it, it's actually legal in the Netherlands. So they've got proper retreats in Amsterdam.
Oh, hello.
So you can go, obviously it's not the same like, proper shamans in the jungle or whatever, but you can go a day. I think a day is about €400.
Yeah,
2-3 days a week.
We should get a fucking group going over, mate.
Yeah.
Need some of that, without going, because let's have it right. South America's a little bit, do you really want to be going there? Like, is it safe? It's safe, lad. Like,
yeah.
No one's going to fucking come and chop my head off in a bush. Like, Holland seems a little safer for now. I heard recently that someone actually killed herself after an ayahuasca trip in South America not long ago. It might have actually been Europe or Africa. I can't really remember. But that's why you've got to be in like the right frame of mind when you go and do it, because you could be coming back and think, fuck it, I am going to be the version of me that kills myself. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Had enough. And go into where they're supposed to be, where they come from.
Yeah, you must have
tell people you've got to like come back and try and be the best version of yourself you can possibly be. Yeah. Which in turn will only make every other version of yourself become better. That's every version that spins off you.
Yeah, that person must have done no spiritual work and probably has some proper demons. Yeah. You face your demons, but if you have some understanding of, the self and the difference between me and I and all that stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of self-awareness and...
Yeah, but if you believe...
Empathy and compassion and all, that helps, mate. If you've got loving morals and you've got good morals as a human, you're a righteous, or at least you try to be. You try to be righteous. You get these dickheads, don't you, who will live a little bit of a nasty life, but they'll think they're doing the right thing. But then you'll also get the little twat who just knows he's being a dick. Like, I'm interested in them people going on the experiences, mate. Severe, compulsive liars and thieves who just can't help hurting other people, but don't even really feel like they're hurting them. Well, it's only 20 quid. It's only 50 quid. It's only a gold necklace. Only pulled a knife out and took the phone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you pulled a fucking knife on a human? You fucking... Manchester, the other days, people stabbing people and that. You just think, like, brah, get yourself to the realm, mate, and wind your fucking neck in.
If you think that everyone's here to have an experience, and if it's the hive mind or whatever, experience every possibility, is there an element of that was...
Someone's got to fucking stab me, hasn't there? Somewhere in one of the realities... I've got to experience what it feels like of a knife plunged into my fucking skin and ending my life.
What's that thing?
It's Rick and Morty, isn't it? Like infinite possibilities.
Yeah. What's that? The guy that done the film Marshall with what's his name? Matt Damon. Is it Martian? Martian.
Yeah.
So he's on Mars and he's there on his own. Whatever. Fucking awesome film, by the way. But the guy who directed that, he done a small film called, I think it's called The Egg. You need to watch that. It's about 6 or 7 minutes, but it's talking about this concept. So there's versions on YouTube where people have took it and made like a different sort of illustration of it. But it's basically about this. It's someone that died, and then he meets the higher power that explains to him, basically, you are everyone. Simultaneously having an experience, mate. It's profound. I sent it to a couple of people that I've tried speaking to about this stuff before, and they're like, "No, I don't."
That's why I feel like I have to apologise to spiders. I feel like in some way I am the spider.
Yeah, well, if it's conscious, especially with DMT, it's the spirit molecule. So the spiritual molecule is within everything. So every conscious being has it. That's why I think, in terms of eating animals, I mean, don't get me wrong, to some degree, I think, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. But equally, if you're honouring the animal, like we are in the animal kingdom.
Like they're doing Avatar film. Yeah. They bank it and they tell it that its physical body staying here, but its essence has moved on. You know what I mean? You're going with AWAs now, like, but thank we're going to, your physical body's going to be transferred into our energy. That's what we've lost, mate. We should be like saying you're going to Gaia. Like ours is Gaia, innit? Mother Nature, it's Mother Earth. That's who she is. That's the goddess. Graham Hancock's been calling her Mother Ayahuasca. That's what he legitimately calls a mother ayahuasca. Like I say, the CIA are calling it the absolute, as if there is an absolute place we're all from. But stories of angels and demons came from somewhere, do you know what I mean? And it was all God ripping pieces of his bodies off. That's just the consciousness becoming a hive collective consciousness from a singularity, in my opinion. You had a singularity consciousness that became multiple consciousness, but remains a hive mind. So what one learns, the rest of them kind of learn. But we came here for the separation, but it don't change the fact that when we get back there, we're all connected.
Yeah,
and
that's why when you do,
we've lost the connection in this realm.
That's why when you do the DMT, it feels normal, and then you come back and you're like, why am I separated?
Yeah,
because it is a separation. It's not the way it should be. There's a guy called, I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Bill Monahue. Bill Monahue. So he's one of the best esoteric teachers, basically decoding the Bible. So the Bible is it's an exoteric, literal book and philosophy, but he decodes it in a more esoteric way. Like if you get a chance, check out him. He is incredible.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. It's like that Sacred Cross, Sacred Mushroom. That was by John M. Allegro in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he was deciphering the original pages of the Bible, or the tablet, actually. It wasn't even pages, it was the actual tablet. And that book went missing. You couldn't find it anywhere until the internet emerged.
Yeah.
And then it was only through the internet that it actually re-emerged and people started questioning our fundamental roots, mate, not just in this reality and religion, but where we come from. And the biggest question most humans have ever asked, where do we go when we die?
Yeah. But then when people talk about the book, the Bible, they're talking about the literal sense of the Bible. So I was arguing against atheists. Not like there's any point, but they're saying, what, so you believe in God? And I'm like, it's something else. It's not that. It's not Christianity and atheism. There's a million other variables. If you
agnostic's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if
agnostic means like there's something else, but it's unknowable.
Yeah.
This £3 fucking brain's can't even begin to comprehend what it actually is, so you're not even going to try. That's agnostic, but there's something there, and when this vessel shuts off, you will go meet it one day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel like most people are agnostic because you don't fucking know. Just because science hasn't proved it. They don't
want to admit, they're scared to admit it because they don't want to talk about it. Like you say, whether they feel not educated enough or what, or it scares them a little bit.
Well, sometimes too educated.
Scaring Kurt a little bit. Kurt keeps saying it scares the shit out of me, and I'm like, well, it really scared the shit out of me, mate. If anything, it's made me feel better with death and that. And
yeah,
I'm not scared of dying now. This is the weird way it is about it. I'm not scared of dying.
Yeah.
Scared of dying too early.
Yeah, yeah. But you wouldn't know anyway.
No, exactly. But I want to have a little bit of a better journey. Yeah, if someone was in a tournament and my journey ends tomorrow, I'd be like, shit, let me do a video because I've got some shit to say. Do you know what I mean? I've not done enough yet. Legitimately, I'd probably go live till I died. It's like, this is it, guys.
Final live stream.
Exactly. But that's what the experience done. It's made me realise that it is a journey. And whenever anything bad happens, there's always an end, and it's always okay in the end. You don't know, you can't exactly consider how it's going to be okay, but it's always all right in the end. Every bad thing that's ever happened to you. So I'm in the mindset now where I'm thinking I'm always going to be all right, or I'm going to die. And if I die, when you do the DMT, you kind of experience that in a way, and it's not that scary. So fuck it.
Mate.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it again once I've been again.
Yeah, mate, I'll meet you in Amsterdam.
I've only been once. I'm going again soon.
Yeah.
Literally within the next week or two, I will be going again. I've got up on the screen now at the moment on YouTube, the two guys, Peter Fenwick, What Really Happens When You Die, End of Life Phenomena. I'll put links to these in the description with this video. And there's the Eben Alexander one.
Yeah.
Syntheses of Science, Spirituality, the Archihuman, Destiny Over Millennia. them two are extremely interested because they've got no links to DMT, no direct terminology links to DMT. It's not mentioned. They've not had the drug or the molecule, but their research and where they've come from and where it's taken them sounds eerily similar. Peter Fenwick calls himself a neuropsychiatrist, so he works with the neurons and the makeup and the build-up of the brain, as well as the psychiatry, how the mind works and thinks, and putting them both together, basically bringing spirituality and science into one. And like you said before, you've seen that Eben Alexander one, haven't you, where he was put in a 7-day coma. Yeah. And that pretty much changed not only his life, but the way a hell of a lot of scientists and medical scholars actually see these extra realms and shit. It's fascinating shit to watch.
There's an interview as well. I responded to one of your comments on Twitter. It's Anthony Peake, and he interviews a guy called Will Murtha. So this guy, Will, he was like a high executive, big money, stressful job, blah, blah, blah. Very much not even atheist, just didn't have time to think about anything. He's just, he's a businessman. And he has an experience where he actually falls into the sea, and he's in the ocean for about 2 hours, peddling water, in and out of consciousness, close to clinically dead, ends up being saved. And the way that he's saved it's incredible. But the experiences that he has over the 2 hours is brilliant. It's only like an hour podcast, and about 40 minutes in, you've got the juice. I listened to that years ago, and I listened to it again yesterday after I replied to a comment to you guys. And after the DMT experience, I'm listening to it again from another perspective. And I'm like, that is exactly what I experienced. Mine was more colourful because I was induced, but it was the same thing, same feeling.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable. Like I've just seen a thumbnail on YouTube that makes me think Uncle Iroha from Avatar: The Last Airbender. In the second series, they do a second show called Korra.
Yeah.
The first show, there's like this Avatar, like they did a film about it, but it was shit. Netflix is doing another live action show at the moment, but the actual Last Airbender Avatar, he has his story. And then one of the generals in that is Iroha. He's bad turned good. Proper spiritual character in it. When it gets to the next one, he's actually dead. But when Korra goes to the spiritual realm as the Avatar to learn about a cosmic self, she sees him there, and the words to it, he legitimately says, like, I chose to leave my body behind and enter the spirit realm or come to the spirit realm. Basically all that yogi stuff that, like, if you do get enlightened enough and at one with your chakras, this is what we're saying, like one of the chakras is outside your head. Do you know what I mean? And basically what it is being able to go into a meditative state, starting with your root one at the bottom and activate that and activate each one on the way up. And when you've activated them all, you can connect to the one outside you, only when you've activated all yours at the same time. What's interesting, I think when I had DMT, I was rooted to the chair. And it actually felt like my bottom one was opening. And they just opened right up my fucking spine, like an influx of energy just taking off.
Mine was here. I felt the whole time. I felt it here.
Right in the front. It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. It's getting a little late. We've got to get sorted for work, so we will wind it down a little bit. But it's been a good chat, mate. It's been a really, really good chat. The exact kind of chat I wanted. Not only was he a little bit of crypto, we dived into a bit of DMT, spirituality, science, multiverse, fucking climate change, 5G. We hit almost a lot, mate. Was a pleasure having you on, and no doubt we'll have you on again.
Cheers, Jake.
Yeah, do you want to shout where people can find you? Twitter.
Jay SPQR on Twitter. YouTube is SPQR Media. A lot of the XRP stuff, me, Lee, Andy, Cody, Cotswold, Jen, and a guy called Matt. So loads of information there. A lot of it is XRP, granted. And I hope I didn't lose a lot of people because the thing is, you know what it's like. You're dealing with people that aren't really into this stuff. So when you actually talk about it, it's just, you know, I'm just saying things and then saying something else, and I'm hoping that people can catch up. So hopefully I didn't lose anyone.
Mate, I'm fascinated with the Olmecs and black people not actually being slaves. So when I want to have the conversation, I have to be like, yo, go and watch Hotep Jesus. He's a black man. He's the one who's got me on it. It's his opinion that I kind of find interesting and want to speak about. That's all it is. People can't be afraid to talk about how we feel, mate. If people didn't like what they were saying, don't watch the next one, bro. Simple as that, innit? Simple as that. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'll stop record there. We'll have a little chat after this stuff before we get off. But yeah, stopping that.